Good morning, sir. May I request everyone to kindly mute yourself, please? May I request everyone to mute yourself?
You can mute others, madam. Just go to participants and click mute all. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Sir, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mute everybody, otherwise you will keep hearing good morning for the next 1 hour. Click on the participants icon below. You will see on the left side something opening up, which will show you the list of participants. At the bottom, you will see mute all. Click that. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. As a part of International Day of Yoga Celebration 2020, with the theme of Yoga at Home and Yoga with Family, special national webinar, online lecture under EPG Patashala and Consortium for Educational Communication. We have here Dr. R. Ilangovan sir, Professor and Head, Faculty of Yoga Sciences and Therapy, Meenakshi Academy of Higher Education and Research, to welcome our resource person. Over to you, sir.
Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Yes, good morning to one and all.
It's audible, sir.
Good morning to one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all. It is a great related day for us. தேவர்களுக்கு கடவுள் எப்படி காட்சி அளிப்பாரோ அதே போல நமக்கு காட்சி கொடுப்பதற்காக கிருஷ்ணமாச்சாரியார் அவர்களுடைய பேரனும் அவருடைய சீடராகிய தேசியாச்சார் அவருடைய மகனாகிய தேசியாச்சாரியனுடைய மகனுமாகிய கௌஸ்துப் தேசியாச்சாரியார் இப்பொழுது நம்மிடையே வாழ்த்துரை வழங்க இருக்கிறார்கள். We are very fortunate to be a yogi or yogini. At the same time, we are very, very fortunate to hear his blessing. As you know very well, Kausthub is the successor and lineage person of Krishnamacharya yoga tradition. As you know very well, Kausthub is started his yogic practices at the very, very young age. And he is very fortunate to teach yoga at the age of 13 years. It is very rare indeed. Like he is schooling and learning at colleges and universities. He had done dual PG degree at Birla Institute of Technology and Sciences, Bilani, and he his doctorate degree at Madras University. He is really a multifaceted personality in the sense he is a great yogi, yogic trainer, yogic teacher, wellness expert, photographer, writer, speaker, so and so. He wrote a number of books. At the same time, he traveled throughout the world. It is very fortunate. Today he is with us. Other times we don't know in which country he would be. Such a great personality. And also, I am very fortunate that I was with him a few years back at Kaivalya Dama at the World Conference. I had an opportunity to be with him, and we traveled from Pune to Chennai. And I got a lot of blessings from him that initiated me into get into yogic field more. Such a great person. தேன் தானும் கெடாமல் தன்னுள் விழுந்த பொருட்களையும் கெடாமல் எப்படி பாதுகாக்குமோ அதுபோல இந்த சமுதாயத்தை பாதுகாத்துக் கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடியவர் நம்மிடையே இருக்கக்கூடிய இன்றைய சிறப்பு விருந்தினர் அவர்கள். On behalf of you and Mega FIST and our management, I am welcoming him for this great opportunity. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, may I request Kausthub Desikachar, sir, to take over the session, please. Over to you, sir.
Namaste. I will start with a little small chant to Patanjali and then we will begin. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi Abhavu purushakaram Chankrasidharinam Sahasra shirasam shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Srimate Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha. So very good morning to all of you, and I really want to thank Professor Ilangovan for not only inviting me to have this conversation with the students of the Meenakshi Academy of Higher Education and Research, but also because he has been very generous in the words of introduction, and I hope I deserve 1/1,000,000th of the words that he shared. So I really want to thank you, sir. You've been extremely generous and kind. I'm just an ordinary person trying to represent an extraordinary lineage, and I hope if I can manage it to the best of my ability, the ancestors will shower the blessings that needs to be showered. Today, we will like to talk about the role of Patanjali's Kriya Yoga in the modern era. Because in the modern era, we are in a very appropriate sense why Patanjali's Kriya Yoga is needed. See, Patanjali presented his philosophy of Yoga Sutra through 4 chapters, and each chapter is actually meant for a different kind of student. We say that each chapter is meant for a different kind of student who is at a different level of evolution, who is able to do something slightly different. So When you look at the first chapter, that is called as the Samadhi Pada, it is meant for a student called Kritanjali, who is somebody with a reasonably stable mind called Samahita Chitta, where he has only very minor distractions. So that's why Patanjali calls this chapter Samadhi Pada, because this student only needs a little bit of assistance to reach the state of Samadhi. The second chapter is for people like us who are highly disturbed. We are called Baddhanjali. The student is called Baddhanjali, who is affected a lot by distractions of life, who is suffering a lot from what is called the kleshas, etc. And that is why Patanjali presents the topic of the kleshas, the topic of the karma, the topic of the Ashtanga Yoga, etc. in modern times. We have to practice all the 8 limbs in modern times in order to reach the Samadhi state. That's why I often joke for the Tamil students that Ashtanga Yoga is not just Ashtanga Yoga, it is a very Kashtanga Yoga, very Kashtam, very Rumba Kashtamana Yoga, adanaladha idu Ashtanga Yoga. The third chapter is for a student called Mastakanjali, who has achieved Samadhi but wants to explore the entire human spectrum of the potentials of the mind. And that is why if you look at the third chapter, you have all the siddhis and samyamas presented in detail. And the last chapter is for a student called Purnanjali, who is also reached the state of Samadhi, but who is not interested in all these powers that we can get with yoga, but who is more interested in liberation, Kaivalyam. That is why the fourth chapter is taking us towards Kaivalyam. So this is the general arrangement of the sutras. And we have the focus now as the second chapter, where we are all in the modern era, very highly distracted mind. But even in the second chapter, we are in the beginning of the second chapter where we are even more disturbed, and that is precisely our corona times, the challenging times that come. So we cannot really practice all of the Ashtanga Yoga. Our mind is not so fit. At least we can practice Kriya Yoga, 3 aspects of the Ashtanga Yoga. That is basically Tapaha, Swadhyaya, Ishvara, Pranidhana. It's presented in the first sutra of the second chapter. Tapaha, Swadhyaya, Ishvara, Pranidhanahani, Kriya Yogaha. Patanjali says, okay, poor guys must be so much disturbed. To ask them to practice yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, etc. is too much. Let us start with a very simple concept called Kriya Yoga, because that is what is capable of a highly disturbed mind. If this is achieved, then that will open the door for the next step, next possibilities. It's almost like Patanjali is saying, okay, let us first get them to enter the door. Once we are inside the door, then we will present all that is possible. Because if they are not even entering this house, how will they know what is inside? So that is why he starts with what is called Kriya Yoga. In this, there are 3 aspects, very simple. Tapaha. Tapaha is a practice of detoxifying our body in a holistic manner that includes appropriate diet, appropriate lifestyle, and most importantly, some very simple pranayama techniques. Because Vyasa, the first commentator, says, Taponah paramaha pranayamaha. There is no greater tapas than the practice of pranayama. Because pranayama will remove the toxins of the mind, and that is why he has presented this topic first. So we need to take certain steps, use some body practices like some very simple asanas, diet changes, eat sattvic diet, each diet that is healthy, that is appropriate to the season, that is local, very important, that is local, what is grown in our area, etc. So that we can have a very good cleansing process in the body. And that is what is called tapaha or tapas. Tapas is not going to the Himalayas and standing on one leg. That is not what tapas is. Tapas is very simple acts of removing the toxins in the body on a daily basis. Now see how great psychological approach this is. The moment we say that we are engaging in a detoxification process, what does it mean automatically? Automatically, it means that we are having toxins. When we are highly disturbed, if somebody tells us something is wrong with us, we will not be able to accept it. We will get agitated. So Patanjali is very smart. He does not tell us something is wrong with us. He says, practice tapas. So the moment we accept that and we start practicing the tapas, we are accepting that there are some defects in our body, there are some toxins in our body that we need to eliminate. This is the first thing, my dear friends. When you look at the consumption we have today of food, it is not healthy food. We eat a lot of processed food. We eat a lot of things that are chemically interfered with, whether even vegetables are chemically interfered with, animals are chemically interfered with, and there is many packaged food that have so much chemicals that are all very toxic for the body. Then you think about consumption in the form of media, the social media like Facebook or Instagram or television channels. All that they are presenting is gossip and fake news that is very toxic for our mind, our intellect. So if you switch off some of these, that is a way of detoxification as well. That's what now modern people, they call it digital detox. So they are switching off their Facebook account, switching off their Instagram account, switching off this account so that they are not entrapped by the negativity. So the same when you look at gossip in the workplace, we are all trapped by the negativity. You watch the news, read the newspaper, everything is full of negative news, and that is what is called tapas. The first process is detox from all of this. It's not just eating some healthy food and then watching some very bad news all the day. Mind also has to be detoxed. Also living in non-toxic environment. Perhaps we are living with family members or in a neighborhood where there is a lot of negativity. Somehow stepping back from that is also a detoxification process. All these are considered as detoxification methods, that is called tapas. The second thing Patanjali is asking us to do is what is called swadhyaya. Now, how many of us know truly who we are, why we are on this earth, what is our duty, our dharma, our responsibility in life, etc. Why are we here? What is our purpose of life? What is our mission in life? We don't know much. We are just following everybody else like a rat race. Our parents from our very young age tell us, oh, you should be a doctor, oh, you should be an engineer, oh, you should be this, oh, you should be that. I was lucky that I don't have such parents. My father and mother were so liberal. They never pushed me into any direction, including yoga. It's something that came out of my own choice. In fact, opposite, when I started wanting to become more serious about yoga, my father said, are you sure? It will be very difficult for you. Think about it. Don't just come because I am doing it. It's very difficult. So we are pushed in society by many ideas, whether it is by parents or it is by peer pressure. People are telling, oh, come on, man, we'll go to the same college. Oh, come on, man, we'll study the same university degree, blah, blah, blah. And so we join all these programs, we join all these jobs without even knowing what we want to do. A few years ago, I started to learn German in the German institute called the Goethe Institute in Chennai. And I was the only middle-aged person there. All others were young boys and girls who were 17, 18, 19, etc. in the first year of college or second year of college, etc. They were all learning German. And in the beginning, the professor was always asking everybody why they want to learn German or what are their hobbies, etc. What are their visions of the future. Almost everybody was saying they wanted to earn more money. They want to earn more money. They want to earn more money. But nobody knew what they want to do in life. That's the big problem. We don't know what we want to do in life. Earning money is for what? What do you want to do with that earned money? Oh, I want to enjoy, watch TV, watch internet, watch movies. But that is not what we are born here for. So Patanjali is asking us to reflect, swadhyaya, reflect who you are, what is appropriate for you, what is your capacity, what is your strengths, what is your weakness, what is your opportunities, etc. See, I cannot be a great academic like Professor Ilangovan because he has research predispositions. So his capacity is very different from mine. My capacity is different from somebody else. Somebody else's capacity is different from somebody else. My sister is a great musician. She can sing so wonderfully, chant so beautifully and brilliantly because that is in her predisposition. I don't have that. But I have predisposition for comedy. My sister cannot do so much comedy. So we all have different strengths and weaknesses that we have to fulfill. That is what is called swadhyaya. Because if we are doing something that is not natural to us, then we are wasting our energy. A cat cannot be a dog cannot be a monkey cannot be a cow. Each one has to be what they can be. That is what is called swadhyaya. And it's a very great thing because that is called self-acceptance. If you are rejecting yourself, how can you go forward in the path of yoga, where Patanjali says in the very first chapter, the result of yoga is tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. You are establishing your true nature. So in order to establish yourself in your true nature, you have to discover and accept your true nature. I am a man. I cannot be a woman. So if I don't like to be a man, I want to be a woman, it's not possible. I have to accept my true nature, that I am a man, my sister is a woman, my mother is a woman, my partner is a woman, my daughter is a woman. I cannot change that. I want to be somebody else. So there are many things like that, not only gender, but also things like predispositions, talents, and potentials that are defining who we are, which is what we have to accept. That acceptance, that realization first, and then acceptance is called swadhyaya. That is part of the reason why we have so many problems. And sometimes I also want to remind people that just because we are good in something, it does not mean that that is our true nature. You take a circus, for example, there is some animals, an elephant is trained to play football, a tiger is meant to jump through the circles of fire. Tell me something, is it really the true nature of an elephant to play football or a tiger to jump through the hoops? Even though it's doing well because of training, it is not its original nature. A tiger's nature is to roam in the forest freely. An elephant, similar with its herd, that is their swadharma, swarupa, swabhava, however you want to call it. Acceptance of that is swadhyaya. If we reject that, then we will get very, very disturbed. Imagine if I don't accept my masculinity and I try to be a woman, I will get very disturbed. My body, my senses, my breath, everything will get disturbed. So this is why we have to accept our true nature. The third one, and this is very important in modern era because modern era puts pressure on us to be somebody else than who we are. Mother tells us from a very young age, and why don't you be like your neighbor son? He's doing so well in studies. Why you are such an idiot? You are not getting good marks. Why you are not singing so well like the neighbor's child? why your classmate is doing better than you. We start this comparison already very young, and this is why we deviate from our original nature. Think about it. Answer this question. Which other species in the whole world needs to go to school or college or university to discover who they are? Only human beings have this problem. Cat does not go to cat university to become a better cat. Dog does not go to dog university to become a dog. They know their intrinsic nature. Human beings, we have deviated from them. The third thing Patanjali says, very smart Patanjali, Ishvara Pranidhana. We are all control freaks. We want to control everything and we want everything to happen the way we want it to happen. We want to control ourselves, we want to control others, we want to control nature. Why do you think we have corona now? Because we try to control nature, we try to interfere with nature. And we'll have many more diseases like that. So, Ishvara Pranidhana is an attitude that somebody is beyond us. We cannot control anything, including the consequences of our own actions. We can't even control everything about ourselves. How can we control somebody else? We cannot control when we fall asleep, when we feel thirsty, when we feel hungry, when we feel sad, when we feel angry. We cannot control everything. We can try, but we will not succeed all the time. So, how can we control consequences of action that involves other people, that involves other things in nature? So that is why Patanjali is saying, have an attitude called Ishvara Pranidhana, which is an attitude of surrendering to a higher force with an attitude that, okay, I will do my best action and leave the consequences to somebody else. This is what is called Ishvara Pranidhana, and these three are very, very important because in the modern era, we are living in a world that is very, very toxic. Therefore, tapas is very important. We are living in a world where social identity is more important than true identity. People have what is called avatars. They have completely destroyed the meaning of the word avatar. Social avatar, sir. You have to look at my social avatar. I am this, I am that. So people become identified with that. Therefore, they have lost the connection to themselves. That's why Swadhyaya is very important today. Ishvara Pranidhana, we always want to control self or others when we actually cannot control neither the self nor the others. And that is why Ishvara Pranidhana is also very, very important. That is why Patanjali insists that we start with these three attitudes in daily life: tapas, Swadhyaya, and Ishvara Pranidhana. And what Patanjali says is, if we start to put this in practice, what will happen? Samadhi bhavanartaha klesha tanukaranartascha. Samadhi bhavanartha. We will go closer to Samadhi. He is not saying we will be in Samadhi because Samadhi is quite far away. At least we will approach Samadhi. We will go near. Effort to go in, I will be motivated to go in. Klesha tanu karanartaha. All our obstacles will also be reduced. All our obstacles will also be reduced. This is what is called klesha tanu karanartaha cha. So the things that are called kleshas that create suffering for us, they are reduced closer and closer to Samadhi. So that is why Patanjali is teaching us this so that we go closer. Today, we don't even know what is samadhi, what is spirituality and all that. We just have some kind of fake ideas about it based on all the false information on the internet, false information on Facebook and Google and other things. Nowadays, I think Professor Ilangovan will agree, many people don't even know the meaning of the word research. They think research means to go Google something that is considered as research. So when you look at these things, we will say what is samadhi. We will have 100 million ideas about what is samadhi. We don't even know. So the only way to know is to put some things in practice that takes us closer. The moment we go closer to that, we start to get a picture and say, okay, you know what? I want to be near that. Then the Ashtanga Yoga comes in. Because if in the beginning itself I give Ashtanga Yoga that is so difficult, then I will not be motivated. So Patanjali is giving us a little carrot. We are like donkeys. We need that little carrot. So Patanjali is giving us a little carrot in the form of Kriya Yoga. Here to Kriya Yoga, slowly you will come closer to Samadhi. Then you put little more effort, then everything will become better. Imagine if somebody wants to do mountain climbing. If the guide is saying, let's climb Mount Everest first, then the person will collapse. So instead of that, first we have to, the guide should say, okay, let us go to St. Thomas Mount, climb that first. Then let us go to Pallavaram Hills next. Then let us go to the Nilagiri Mountains. Then only we go to the lower Himalayas. Then we go to the higher Himalayas. So we have to be led step by step. Otherwise, we will be very overwhelmed. That's why Patanjali is offering Kriya Yoga for the modern era people who are highly disturbed, that we need such kind of methods to start our journey. Somebody may ask the question, how come Patanjali can predict the future? How come Patanjali, who is living 2000 years, can predict the future? Patanjali answers this in the sutras itself. Parinamattraya samyamat atitanagata jnanam. Through certain methods of practices, high levels of practice called samyama, which is focused on the nature of the change itself, we can not only know the present but also the past and the future. This is presented in the Sutra 316. Parinamatraya samyamat atita anagata jnanam. So Patanjali must have been a master of this. He could predict the future, that there would be a time that will come where this is what will happen. And I tell you, my friend, the ancient yogis were brilliant about predicting the future. If you read some things like the Puranas and other things, you see that they already know and predict what will happen, and they are doing that right now. They talked about how those with lower intelligence will rule over those with higher intelligence, and that is what is happening today. Normally speaking, the most highly educated people, the most wise people, they are not interested in politics to become politicians and leaders of countries. But in the ancient time, it was the opposite, but they could predict that. They were saying that those who are meant to take care of dharma, law, will go against the law. You see, many of the legal agencies, whether it's the police department or the judicial system, etc., they've all become very corrupt and protecting only the criminals, not the true people. So the people predicted the future, and Patanjali was no exception. That is why, with people like us in mind who are living in the modern era, Patanjali presents the concept of Kriya Yoga for our benefit, so that we have an easy way to enter the door that leads us to spirituality, after which we will be motivated to go further.
Kausthub sir.
Yes, ma'am.
A small announcement. This session will end in another 5 minutes. I request everyone to log on, please, with the same meeting ID and password once this ends. Thank you, sir.
So we have to log off and log on again.
Yes, sir, with the same meeting ID password. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So shall we do that now? And then when we come back, shall we take the questions?
We have another 5 minutes, sir.
Okay. So if there is any questions, madam, you can read them out so I can answer them.
Any questions from the audience can please chat.
Good morning, sir. I have asked about the Ishvara Pranidhana. So, is the Purusha is the Ishvara? As a Kriya Yogi, can I able to feel the Purusha? Is the mind is my Purusha?
Now, mind is not part of Purusha, madam. Mind is part of Prakriti. So, mind cannot be Purusha. Ishvara is also not a Purusha. Ishvara is a Purusha Vishesha. Ishvara is a special Purusha who has slightly different attributes than Ishvara, than Purusha. Purusha is what is called as the Jiva Atma, the self, individual self. Now, individual self cannot focus on itself. It has to focus on something else because it is the meditator. The meditator has to meditate on something else. So, who is that it's meditating on? It is meditating on Ishvara, who is a Purusha Vishesha, a special Purusha who has certain attributes, who is not affected by klesha or karma, who is the source of all knowledge, and who is not bound by time. We are all bound by time. We are not the source of all knowledge. So we cannot be the Ishvara. Ishvara is something that is considered as the universal consciousness. What we have is the individual consciousness. Jivatma is called as the individual consciousness. Paramatma or Purusha is the universal consciousness, the collection of all individual consciousness. And certainly that neither of them are considered as the mind. See, mind, body and senses are called as Prakriti. They are called Achit. There are three concepts in Yoga, Sankhya and Vedanta. In Yoga and Vedanta, three concepts, not in Sankhya. Sankhya only has two. In Yoga and Vedanta, we have Chit, Achit and Ishvara. Chit is Purusha. Achit is Prakriti. Ishvara is something that is beyond that. We will pause here because my Zoom is showing that we have less than a minute. So perhaps we will log out and log in back and continue with the next question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. May I request everyone to please log in once again using the same meeting ID and password. Thank you.